There comes a time in the life of every Three Stooges fan when the reserved genius of Larry Fine is fully realized.
Oh, me.
As a kid, it was so easy to get lost in watching the big personalities of Moe, Curly, or Shemp clash with one another on screen. But as I got older, my eyes began to wander to the stooge opposite most of the action, Larry Fine.
What do you know about plumbing?
Nothing.
That's fine. Give me a hand.
Whose brilliance is evident not only in his simple reactions.
Any questions?
Is it true that time and space are calculated by the direct ratio of interplanetary magnetism to solar radiation?
But also his incredible delivery and comedic timing.
What'd he say? Get out of here.
He was often referred to as the middle stooge, providing middle ground between Moe's bossiness and Curly or Shemp's zany antics, most of the time falling victim to their fighting, simply by trying to be the voice of reason.
Hey, where's your dignity?
Spread out.
Where's your dignity?
There it is.
What I've come to love most about Larry as a stooge is just how he can never seem to get a leg up.
What's the matter?
I think I got something. Or something's got me.
He not only gets hit for trying to break up the violence between the other stooges,
What's the matter? What's going on? Get out of here.
he also gets hit when simply reacting to someone else getting hit. Or when he tries to take control himself and boss Curly around.
Sit down.
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Who are you hitting? Oh, you're going.
Or he'll just get slapped for answering too slow.
How do you spell chrysanthemum? Oh, ignorant, eh?
I've even seen him get slapped just for being there.
Oh, I got it.
Oh.
A true victim of circumstance.
Well, here's Tuesday.
Oh, he was some onesies. You get him to...
Here's Fivesy.
Yet it never stopped his character from trying to interfere, adding an essential bit of pacing to any Stooges slapstick sequence.
Here's a flower for your hat, madam. Here's mud in your eye, mister.
But underneath his portrayal as the reserved middle stooge was a complex performer who helped balance out the Stooges' act for nearly 5 decades. Whenever someone tells me that Larry is their favorite stooge, I know that they are a true fan, as it takes hours of watching the Three Stooges to fully appreciate just how vital he was.
Hey, Porcupine. Come here. Point to the right for this chump, will you?
See?
This is the story of Larry Fine, the middle stooge.
You started everything.
Oh, I can't see. I can't see.
What's the matter?
I got my eyes closed.
Oh, spread out. Come on.
I've always identified with Larry the most, particularly because we share a hometown, as well as a love for tasty cakes. He was born Louis Feinberg in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Later in life, when he retired to the motion picture country house in Woodland Hills, California, he would host many fans to his apartment. If they came from the East Coast, he would sometimes request they just bring tasty cakes. His birthplace on 3rd and South Streets in Philadelphia was for many years a bar and restaurant named John's, marked by a wonderful mural above the restaurant. The restaurant closed a few years ago though, and if someone is smart enough, they will buy it up and name it what it should have always been called: Larry's, a fine establishment.
I'm fine.
So am I.
Anyone want to go in on it with me?
Say, if he thinks I'm gonna paint this floor, I hope you drop dead.
Who, me?
Larry's father was a jeweler, whose shop was on the first floor. When Larry was a small child, he badly burned his arm on a spilled bottle of acid in the shop. It was suggested that he take up violin lessons to help strengthen the muscles in his arm. Larry not only managed to save the arm, he also became a skilled violinist in the process, a talent that he later displayed in many Stooges shorts.
Scram.
Larry's talent as a violinist would eventually lead to him pursuing a career in vaudeville. He spent most of the 1920s touring the vaudeville circuit in the country. It was at a performance in Chicago in 1926 that Larry met Ted Healy and Shemp Howard. Shemp was leaving Healy's act and needed to find a temporary replacement. Shemp and Healy saw Larry perform and greatly admired his style and timing. He was asked to temporarily join the act, and Larry agreed. Eventually, Shemp Howard would rejoin the act, bringing along his brother Mo. By then, Larry had become a fixture of the act himself, and Mo, Larry, and Shemp became Ted Healy's Stooges. While touring in vaudeville, Larry would also meet his wife, Mabel. They were married in 1926 and remained together until her death in 1967. For most of the 20s and 30s, Larry and Mabel lived in hotels, as they preferred the lifestyle. Before they would buy their first home in the 1940s. I talked a little bit about the Three Stooges' early film career with Ted Healy in my Shemp Howard video. I plan to eventually cover all 6 of the Three Stooges, covering a different chapter of their career with each of them. At the risk of sounding too repetitive, I encourage you to check out that video to learn more about how Curly came to replace Shemp. By 1934, the Three Stooges had broken free of Ted Healy and made their first film independent of him, a short subject for Columbia called Woman Haters. For being their first official film as the Three Stooges, Woman Haters is not your typical Stooge short. All the dialogue is delivered in rhyme.
Say, by the way, don't we leave for the road tonight?
What day is this?
The 21st.
By golly, you're right.
Let's hurry back. We gotta pack our samples for the trip.
Okay, before we go, let's take another sip.
Secondly, the Stooges don't go by their names. Larry's character is called Jim, for instance, a name which doesn't fit him at all. And lastly, Larry is the lead character.
Place the ring upon her finger. Not that one, the other finger. I pronounce you man and wife.
It always amazes me how quickly the pieces realigned for their second short, Punch Drunks. I love this short.
What's going on about? What's the idea?
I lost my balance.
Oh, you lost your balance, eh?
Yeah.
Well, go find it.
And it serves as the perfect origin story for the Stooges, as it's one of the few shorts that begins with the Stooges characters not knowing one another.
Shake hands with your new manager. Boy, we're gonna make a lot of money. Come on. I need you, too. From now on, we're a corporation.
And so the Three Stooges began their lengthy career on camera together, settling into characters they would play for the rest of their lives.
Get up there.
Though their title cards would change plenty of times throughout the years, Larry was always positioned in the middle, perfectly representing his position in the act. As I said in the intro, I just love how Larry balances out Mo and Curly's antics.
Hey, on the way! Oh, gee, Mo,
I know. Don't worry about it, kid. It was only an accident.
Oh, that's nice.
But I also love how Larry wasn't afraid to get a little surreal every now and again himself.
Hey, Mo, I'm picking him up.
And Larry's craziness was always a lot different than Mo and Curly's.
Hey, you're in a court, not in the woods, Tarzan. Cut it out.
Are you listening? Ba-ba-ba-boo, ba-ba-ba-boo, ba-ba-ba. Does the mouse see the cat? Yes, the dirty rat. Oh.
With him having some of the darkest comedy of the three.
Wait a minute. Let's plug him and see if he's ripe.
At story conferences, Larry was always the first to suggest the craziest ideas.
A tarantula!
You gorgeous mass of muscle.
Oh, Mother, I'm going to tell Father on you. Psst. Hey, Shep.
They got him and he's still talking.
What's the matter with him? I'm still in one piece.
And his favorite Stooges shorts were always the most bizarre, like 1952's Cuckoo on a Choo Choo, which broke form and saw Larry playing a railroad hobo, parodying Marlon Brando.
Oh, who you telling to shut up?
Yo, and furthermore, how'd you like to have a bust in the nose?
And who's gonna give it to me?
I'm going to give it to you right in the... baby.
Sweetheart.
Aside from suggesting surreal dark comedy bits, Larry usually trusted Moe to handle most of the important decisions for the Stooges. He always preferred to be watching baseball or relaxing with his family instead. When Shemp rejoined the act in 1947, little changes in Larry's performance. Despite losing Curly, Moe and Larry sync up with Shemp like no time had passed in the 15 years since he had left the act.
Hey, be careful up there. What's the idea?
When Shemp died suddenly in 1955, Moe and Larry considered continuing the act as a duo. While I mean no disrespect to Joe Besser or Joe DeRita, I would have at least been curious to see what Moe and Larry as a duo would have been like. In a few Stooges shorts, Moe and Larry often had subplots together, while Curly or Shemp had their own independent plots. I've always loved those scenes between just the two of them.
You forgot the duck.
So did you.
Where do you think you're going?
We're gonna see your friend, Charlie.
Charlie? Who's Charlie?
You know Charlie. Fellow walks like this.
Yeah, he's got a bad case of ingrown heels. He starts out like this.
I better have another drink. I can still see your face.
Quiet.
A wise guy, eh? How do you like that?
Why, you...
I feel like they could have rebranded the act as the Two Stooges, but I also understand the need to bring in a third Stooge. In the Joe Besser years, Larry takes on most of the abuse from Moe, as Joe Besser lacked the years of slapstick training that both Larry and Moe had. Larry assured Joe that he would take most of the hits, though.
I guess I told him.
That's good for him. That's bad for me.
It was during these later Stooges shorts that they would also change their appearance on screen. Approaching 60, Larry and Moe would sometimes comb back their hair, trying to appear more gentlemanly in their old age. The Stooges would find renewed success in the 60s, when their shorts were sold to television syndication. As Joe Besser was unable to do live performances due to his sick wife, Joe DeRita, nicknamed Curly Joe, became the third Stooge for this final tenure of the act. While Larry felt right at home being on the road again, sadly his wife Mabel would die suddenly of a heart attack while he was about to take the stage in Rhode Island. This came only 6 years after Larry and Mabel had lost their son John in a car accident. While the Stooges remained active until the late 60s, with a proposed travel documentary series in the works, Larry would suffer a stroke in early 1970, ending his film career. While Moe briefly considered continuing the act without him, recruiting longtime Stooges supporting actor Emil Sitka to play Larry's brother Harry, Moe's own health forced the act to retire permanently in 1970. Larry would spend the remaining 5 years of his life hosting fans young and old to his apartment in the motion picture country home. He made himself readily available, answering fan mail and phone calls as frequently as he could. Moe and Larry remained close friends until the end, dying only months apart from one another in 1975. Larry was 72 years old. When looking at the Stooges' 4-decade film career, Larry was an essential part of the act. While he and Moe would learn to adapt the act around the third Stooge, the same couldn't have been done for Larry. He rounded out this trio perfectly, adding a balance and brilliance that made the act last as long as it did.
A rowboat? You're crazy, that's a horse trough.
Horse trough, rowboat, in a hotel? That's a bathtub, you imbeciles. Go take a bath.
But it ain't spring yet.
Oh, yes it is. See the pretty grass?
Where?
Whether you're a newcomer or a seasoned fan, the next time you watch The Three Stooges, I encourage you to let your eyes wander to the Stooge in the middle, Larry Fine.
Well, waiter, do you have a patty de foie gras?
I'll see if the band can play it.